A very good morning, everyone. I hope you are all doing safe and good. Today we have assignment about the book called Fundamentals of Business Project Management, and the area I should cover about that is the chapter 12, and it speaks about the business project management especially. So the BPM as a enterprise capability. This book actually gives us the idea of, in simple words I can explain, is like there's a Chinese proverb: "Be not afraid of growing slowly, be afraid of only of standing still." In this book, we presented a range of methods and related techniques for the identification, discovery, analysis, redesign, implementation, and monitoring of business processes. The business process management actually consists of six phases. Along with the six phases, we also discussed about the this book also discusses about the software tools and systems that can support us in the application of these methodologies and effective management of business processes. In simple words, we can say to achieve the desired improvement and goals, regardless of the efficiency and quality, due to the need of improve different business process, business BPM projects are developed and supports the businesses depending on various categories and manufacturing structures. So first we'll discuss about, I think we have a brief overview of BPM. So this BPM works in every element of business processing. Also, we'll first discuss about the typical reasons that are like the major barriers or the reasons to fail as a BPM methodology or BPM strategy. The BPM works in various areas in every single aspect of our life, in governance, with the people, with the culture. We look into that in the further videos, further slides. So we'll start with the barriers to BPM success. BPM success. What's a BPM success? To make a model that effectively contributes for the business is in success, obviously called as BPM, a perfect BPM for the business. But the BPM model has many barriers. The common problem among BPM practitioners is how to relate perceived BPM. Perceived measures of BPM success that are often mentioned include the configuration of modeling tool, the completion of Six Sigma training course, the delivery of the job description of the process owner, the rollout of BPMS or the business process management system, and an update of the process architecture. However, the BPM success should not be the function of the quality of an activity or artifact. BPM should be ultimately linked to the business success, that is, ability to meet or exceed the business performance objectives that are part of corporate strategy. So, what accordingly the common reasons for failure of BPM programs include the sole focus of BPM methods and tools not in the business goals. The sole focus must align with the goals and strategies and policies of the businesses. That should be the main impact of the BPM in a business. The belief that BPM is a single source of truth. BPM doesn't need to be always lying on base of truth or the business strategies or policies. BPM is a thing like needs to be systemated and cooperative approach altogether in every aspects of the business. BPM projects that are managed as isolated silos and overall inability to change. Let us discuss about a bit more detail. like the overall inability to change. One of the major reasons for failure for a BPM program is that the focus is exclusively on methods and tools along the various phases of BPM lifecycle. The perspective is then lost on what effective value can be driven from their application. The perspective is lost on the what effective value can be driven from the application. For example, an organization may enthusiastically roll on enterprise-wide Six Sigma training and start using Sigma specific techniques all around. However, the company's strategy objective may not all be to improve the quality of existing products. So let me give a brief example about this. To outsmart competitors through innovative products, the focus on Six Sigma is misplaced. Similarly, another organization may acquire a BPMS thinking that this process automation software will fulfill all its process improvement needs, but the licensing cost could overshadow the corporate aims for cost reduction. As to the second reason, it should be clear at this point in this book that BPM is a powerful concept to think about how organizations perform and may perform better. Yet, there are other things as well. There are main other two things keep in mind. First of all, there are other management concepts that can deliver value to organizations. The trick is to how BPM and other management disciplines can be aligned such that they reinforce each other rather than that they lead tribalism and organizational infighting. Secondly, BPM is not something that comes natural to everyone. People are often highly committed to their job and to activities they perform, but may easily fail to see how their work fits in the bigger picture. It is a counterproductive to push BPM down their throats. Moving to the third reason, it will be counterproductive to push the BPM down their throats. That means this BPM should not be influenced or should not be done in a forceful way on this. The six success factors of BPM maturity. How we can the strategic alignment, governance method, information technology, people and culture. We'll mainly focus on these things in the upcoming slides, but there are other reasons of failure that as well. BPM is a holistic management concept. It stresses the relevance of looking at relations between activities, people, and technology to deliver products and services. It is therefore slightly ionic when ongoing BPM products are managed in isolation from each other, which is the third reason in the list above. Such a situation may lead all kinds of problems. Participants who are active in different processes that undergo process change may get confused with the different methods, policies, technologies used across the projects. So these are the factors which mainly focus on the neglection or neglecting the barriers of BPM as well as impacting or contributing to the success of BPM maturity. The six success factors of BPM maturity starts with strategic alignment. Let us consider the case of an insurance company that has BPM team within each line of business: home, motor, and commercial insurance. Each of these teams may spawn a new BPM project based on the needs of particular insurance service. They manage, for example, there might be project to improve the home insurance claims handling process for efficiency reasons, or another project shared between motor and commercial insurance to improve the quality of process of validating customer policies. When dealing with multiple projects at a time, to avoid the failure reasons discussed in the previous section, we need to beyond the application of methods and tools that we learned about this. First of all, we also need to employ methods and tools for managing individual projects and for managing the entire program. These are not specifically related to BPM and can be adapted from the current project management practices such as Prince 2, Projects in Control Environment, that is ISO standard, or PMBOK, Project Management Body of Knowledge, from the Project Management Institute. A mature BPM organization should thoroughly apply a variety of BPM specific methods and tools across the various phases of BPM lifecycle, coordinated by the use of methods and tools for project and program management. Such methods in information technology (IT) are two factors critical to success of a BPM program. This chapter and in this particular book strongly emphasis on this methods and IT. The second element which contributes is governance structure that establishes relevant and transparency in accountability, decision making process, quality control mechanisms. This includes, for example, the definitions of responsibilities of various roles involved in BPM projects, such as owner, process analyst, as well as setting appropriate BPM standards. That is, which methods are to be used in each life cycle. Governance structure is especially relevant when moving from a project to program dimension, when effective coordination becomes indispensable. A company should aim to ensure that each phases are very carefully measured and strategized and processed accordingly for a better success of the BPM program. So, we discussed about strategic alignment, governance, and methods in IT. So, the people and culture. Strategic alignment of BPM. Strategic driven BPM project planning are the first question should be raised in our mind is like how aligned are the methods and tools we choose in the each phase of BPM life cycle to the particular business goals we want to achieve. This has to be the first question coming in your mind whenever you are planning a project with a strategic alignment. Strategy and process capability linkage. Does the business strategy directly influence the business processes and vice versa? The goal of the strategy is to meet the goal of the business process and business goals. Enterprise process architecture. How well is the enterprise process architecture specified? We need to specify each and every single aspect of the business so that we can efficiently create a BPM program. Process performance measures. How well are the process outcomes and related process performance measures are defined? Process customers and stakeholders. How well is the view of customers and other process stakeholders incorporated in BPM projects? These questions should be arised in our mind and we should have a proper pre-planned answers for these questions as well while we are planning a strategy for the BPM program. BPM governance help very effectively when a major impact role plays on the decision making. What BPM decisions can be taken and when to handle both expected and unexpected circumstances. BPM roles and responsibilities. Is there a clear definition of BPM roles and associated responsibilities? We should make people know their contribution and they know their importance of this project, and we should align or assign people according to their experiences and knowledge they have in a particular field to make the project very capable under the BPM program, as well as it meets the goals and necessities and policies of the business ideologies and goals. Process performance measurement system. What mechanisms are in place to measure process performance and how appropriate are these mechanisms based on chosen performance measures? So this system actually calibrates the measurement of process performance and analyzes what needs to be done, which mechanism is best to deal with the system, which makes the better outcome of this BPM program. BPM standards, conventions, and guidelines. How well are BPM standard conventions and guidelines defined? We should define a principle that has a perfect communication with the standard and convention and the terms and conditions or guideline of the BPM program. The quality control. What quality control measures are in place to review the guarantee quality in all phases of BPM project? Okay, now we'll start talking about, we'll come to the fifth factor, major factor for the success of BPM program, the people factor. What needs to be understand is what knowledge people have access to and how interaction between them takes place to realize an improvement of business process performance. This critical success factor involves the following capability areas: process knowledge. To what level do process participants and relate process stakeholders know the process they know they participate in? Process knowledge and BPM knowledge are two different things, and how people know about the BPM program and approaches, everything will differ on the knowledge based on their differentiable fact of process and BPM through the methods and tools. BPM and process training. How developed is a corporate training in BPM and business processes? People should be trained according to the knowledge and according to the implementations of BPM program as well as the business processes. There are two different things that needs to be teached and trained to the employees or the employers or the business people involved in it. Process collaboration and communication. How do process stakeholders collaborate and communicate with each other for the achievement of process objectives? So we last slide we talked about the people. Now we'll discuss about the last important factor that deals with this is culture. Culture covers the following capability areas: that responsiveness to process change, embedding of process values and beliefs, adherence to process design, leadership attention to BPM social networks. So this culture element of BPM program is best described as how easy for us to process stakeholders to embrace new ways of carrying out processes. One of key benefits of BPM with the culture is the ability of organization to respond to environmental changes quickly and to drive innovation internally. For this reason, BPM is often described as dynamic capability. A key prerequisite for change is the willingness to change. And this willingness is deeply encoded in the corporate culture. If this is missing, it requires a continuous effort over a long period of time to foster this responsiveness. Process values and beliefs are associated with how explicitly members of organization think in terms of process and which positive attitudes are related to this. For instance, do employees naturally see themselves as process participants who contribute to overall objective of the process, or do they perceive themselves as subordinates to a manager in a particular silo of the organization. We all know, right? In those organizations that exhibit a strong BPM culture, we often find process explicitly mentioned in a strategic document such as the corporate vision, the mission statement, or the description of the value proposition. The process are often mentioned in the context. It is likely to the that the key persons in the organization maintain a strongly positive attitude towards BPM and many employees have a good understanding of BPM concepts. When such a general positive attitude towards BPM has been established, it is observed that the adherence to process design, which is next capability area of the culture, is high. This aspect is closely related with the overall acceptance of the BPM principles and idea as much as specific process improvements that stem from the redesign projects. With this, we'll move to the measuring process maturity and BPM maturity. The management process of business process, we can distinguish two complementary approaches to maturity assessment: BPM maturity and process maturity. BPM maturity is concerned with assessing how broad and deep the spectrum of BPM activities is within the BPM program of an organization. This can be done, for example, by using six critical success factors we discussed previously about in the above slides. Process maturity is concerned with assessing how broad and deep the spectrum processes within the organization. In fact, based on the particular business sector in which it operates, an organization is ideally expected to put in a place a given set of business processes. So, process maturity measures the range and quality of these processes. Let us discuss or focus about the process maturity assessment. One of the most widely used frameworks for this process maturity assessment is the capability maturity model. Integration of this model is administered by CMII Institute. This framework distinguishes a number of so-called process areas. There are three domain independent areas: process management, project management, and support, plus various other areas that are specific for a particular domain. The latter are defined in various CMMI specifications, example for product and service development for their acquisition. This model, this CMMI model coverage of process areas and degree of their support provides the basic for a process maturity assessment in terms of five maturity levels. Level 1. Level 1 is initial level of this maturity assessment. BPM is non-existing or rarely used within the organization. When available, BPM projects are carried in and out ad hoc fashion within the individual IT and business divisions. Level 2. Managed. The organization starts capitalizing is the first BPM experiences to build up BPM capabilities. A process thinking mindset starts to emerge among its employees as the awareness of BPM increases. The first process are documented and analyzed. There is also increasing involvement of the management level through the knowledge of BPM methods and tools remains with the external experts. Level 3. Define. The organization reaps the benefits of first BPM projects through the focus is still on the early stages of BPM lifecycle. This use of methods and tools becomes a sophisticated in-house BPM training is established to reduce the dependence upon external experts. The first process collaboration and communication forums are set up to facilitate the dissemination of BPM experiences. Level 4 is quantitatively managed. The focus of BPM projects shift towards the last phase of lifecycle change management accompanies the BPM projects to guarantee the acceptance of redesigned processes. Systematic performance monitoring ensures that the BPM project delivers strategic benefits. A BPM Center of Excellence is established well defined roles to coordinate all BPM efforts. There's a process orientation in every project, not only in BPM specific ones, and the company minimize the external expertise. Level 5, optimizing. BPM Center of Excellence reduces in size. An approach to obtain a single measurement of BPM maturity on a scale from 1 to 5 to start by measuring maturity of each BPM capability area. For example, we may interview a process analyst for our organization to assess the knowledge of discovery methods, maturity of capability area, BPM knowledge under people, and how far these methods are effectively applied in practice. For each capability area that we assess, we assign a maturity level from 1 to 5. This measurement per capability area can give us a feedback information for specific BPM roles. Example, informing the process methodologist of quality of BPM corporate training. Next, we average these results for each success factor to obtain respective maturity assessments. These later assessments may be reported to the BPM program manager. The levels can be matched with the six major factors of the success of BPM program. Initial manage, define, quantitative manage, optimizing aligns with the green, orange, and blue line. Sounds like CTA, right? Yeah. In terms with the strategic alignment, governance, methods, information technology, people, and culture. Patterns of BPM maturity. The orange pattern, where BPM is driven from within the IT department under the sponsorship of IT director to CAO directly. This leads to high quality output such as sophisticated process models or feature rich process automation solutions. However, the use of these process and tools is not necessarily driven by the alignment of the corporate priorities. Finally, the green pattern, medium maturity line in the people and culture is observed those organizations that are affected by rule-based governance, heavy unauthorization, and unionization, and where everyone buys in sort of any redesigned decision. This is an example. This figure actually adapted from the teaching materials of Michael Roseman, Queensland University of Technology. The assessment of an organization in terms of various levels of BPM or process maturity leads to so-called appraisal. For example, different types of appraisal are distinguished for measuring process maturity are defined in standard CMMI appraisal method for process improvement called SCAMPI. Critical success factors are as we know, strategic alignment, governance, methods and information technology, people, culture. Implement stages, foundation, capability, business architecture, the last mile. Level 1 and level 2 are in the foundations, and level 1, level 2, level 3 on capability. Level 2, 3, 4 on business architecture, and level 3 to 5 are involved in the last mile. The foundation capability are mostly focused on application focus, and the business architecture and last mile majorly contributes in the service focus. 10 principles of good BPM. The ideas behind BPM maturity are summarized in 10 principles of good BPM. Principle of context awareness. BPM should fit the organizational context. It should not follow the cookbook approach. Principle of continuity. BPM should be permanent practice. It should not be one-off project. BPM enablement. BPM should develop capabilities. It should not be limited to firefighting. Principle of holism. BPM should be inclusive in scope. It should not have an isolated focus. Principle of institutionalization. BPM should be embedded in the organizational structure. It should not be an ad hoc responsibility. Principle of involvement. BPM should integrate all the stakeholder groups. It should not neglect employee participation. Principle of joint understanding. BPM should create shared meaning, it should be the language of experts. Principle of purpose. BPM should contribute to strategic value creation, it should not be done for the sake of doing it. Principle of simplicity. BPM should be economical, it should not be oversized or over engineered. Principle of technology appropriation. BPM should make opportunity of technology, it should not consider technology management as an afterthought. So, with this, we can have a great idea about the 10 good principles that makes the BPM very effective. So, as of now, we discussed the barriers of BPM, the 6 success factors involved in the BPM, and the major elements or aspects of good BPM. We discussed about the whole chapter to achieve a sustainable process success with the BPM. BPM as an first we started with the BPM as an enterprise capability embedded in the corporate structure accordingly. BPM should not be seen as an one-off project but as a coordinated set of projects developed over time, each of these aiming to improve one or more business process via the BPM lifecycle. Then we discussed about the typical reasons of BPM programs and traced back these to lack of strategic alignment, a weak and non-existent governance structure, or underestimation of role that plays employees and corporate culture about the success of the BPM program. Under these causes, we then introduced BPM maturity model as a tool to measure success maturity of a BPM program within the organization. This model involves 6 critical success factors: strategic alignment, governance, methods, IT, people, and culture, each supporting 5 capability areas. The underlying assumption is the BPM success influences business process success, which in turn influences business success. Finally, we turn to a maturity assessment where we differentiate the BPM maturity and process maturity. The former measures the completeness and quality of the set of process executed in the organization. The latter measures the maturity of the BPM program that drives the management of these processes. We overviewed with the CMMI framework and process maturity assessment, which includes 5 levels of BPM maturity according to the CMMI Institute. So, the further readings we can have about this topic is that now you might have the overview and a brief knowledge about barriers, process models, business process maturity model, and BPM maturity, and the CMMI levels, and the Six Sigma factors which contributes to the success of BPM, and 10 principal rules. The further readings include BPM maturity model present in this chapter is an adaptation of original model by Roseman and T. Brown to the terminology of this book. These things are recently focuses on new version of the model has been presented by the focus of capabilities in the digital age. Another maturity model as we discuss in the chapter is CMMI, which focus on the instrument to access the ability of government contractors to deliver on software project. While it originates from the area of software development, it is widely applied in the general model of business process, example IT service management processes. This whole many authors like Liffman, Spani, Skymedal, and Franz Al-Karashi discuss about the various curvature, discuss about the various and capabilities and ideologies of BPM in different industries as an enterprise capability. Thank you everyone for this wonderful opportunity. Hope I gave an in-depth review about this business project process management to everyone present here.